Hello there guys and welcome back to 100% Chelsea for another part of the international watch, this time off the international break in October 2017. And before getting into it, like I did yesterday, if you wouldn't mind following me on my social media, which you can see over here, Laus1507 on Instagram and Twitter, I'd massively appreciate that. You know, if you could help me reach, I don't know, 500 followers on Instagram, maybe even 1,000 on Twitter, that'd be class. So just click the link in the description or just search, you know, Laus1507 on there. Follow me, I'd massively appreciate that. Also, if you haven't seen it yet, yesterday I made a video on the whole Charlie Musonda Instagram post situation. If you haven't seen it yet, there will be a card up there, so check that out as well. Watch this video, then watch that video, or the other way around. Anyway, just watch both videos. But yeah, you know, if you haven't seen that yet, check that out as well. But now actually getting into this international watch video, I'm going to run you through how all of our players out on international duty and their teams got on during the international break. This week, the last games of the World Cup qualified group stage just took place. Well, not all over the world, but in Europe anyway. There's still some group stage games left to play. And also in some other parts, you know, the playoffs have started already. But getting into the players that were out on international duty, starting off with Belgium. Obviously, Eden Hazard, Thibaut Courtois and Michy Batshuayi were all part of the Belgium squad. The first game was a very thrilling 4-3 away win over Bosnia and Herzegovina, obviously with former Blue Asmir Begovic in goal. And in that game, all of our three Chelsea players started the game. Eden Hazard assisted the first goal, and Michy Batshuayi actually scored the 2-2 at the time. Second game was then against Cyprus, which led to a 4-0 home win for the Belgian Red Devils, and basically was just a Hazard show. Again, all three Chelsea players started the game, Hazard, Courtois and Batshuayi. Eden Hazard scored the first goal with a nice finish from just outside the box. He also scored the third goal from the penalty spot. His brother and former Chelsea player Thorgan Hazard scored the second after converting the rebound after the keeper saved a good shot by Michy Batshuayi. And Michy actually, although not scoring, had a good game. His holder play was probably as good as I've ever seen it. You know, fair enough, it was against Cyprus, so not exactly the best opposition, but it was still better than I've seen him do against, I don't know, Forest, for example. That's something positive, I suppose. Belgium finished top of their group with 28 points, so no defeat and just one draw out of their 10 games, and are obviously going to the World Cup in Russia next year. The next team I'm going to talk about is France. Obviously, N'Golo Kante was called up. Timur Bakayoko wasn't part of the French squad. The first game was away from home against Bulgaria and brought a close but deserved 1-0 win for l'équipe tricolore. Although for us as Chelsea fans, this was basically a horrible game, as Kante started the game, but had to be subbed off after 34 minutes with what looked like a hamstring injury. Reports from France are saying that Kante will be out for several weeks, whatever that may mean. But at the same time, reports from England have come out saying that he might only miss the Palace game on the weekend and possibly the Roma game in midweek. But for actual, you know, reliable information on Kante's injury, we'll have to wait for Antonio Conte's pre-match press conference ahead of the Palace game on Friday. So in Friday's match preview, which, you know, will be out after the press conference, you will find out how long Kante will be out for. France's second game then was at home against Belarus and ended with them winning the game by 2-1. France finished top of their group ahead of Sweden in second and the Netherlands in third, which is, you know, the Netherlands not going to the last Euros, not going to the World Cup now. Not going well for them, is it? Now coming to Spain, both Pedro and Cesar Azpilicueta were called up and part of the squad. Morata was called up but pulled out because of the hamstring injury he suffered against Manchester City. Same as for N'Golo Kante. For some actual reliable information on how long Morata will be out for, we'll have to wait for the press conference. So like I said, make sure you don't miss the match preview ahead of the Crystal Palace game on Friday. Cesc Fabregas and Marcos Alonso weren't involved in the Spanish squad, no particular reason, just weren't called up basically. The first game was against Albania, which they won by 3-0, with none of the Chelsea internationals actually being involved. Then the second game was against Israel, away from home, in which both Pedro and Azpilicueta started. Spain won the game 1-0, although Pedro missed a massive chance when it was still 0-0 when he was 1-on-1 with the keeper and just, you know, couldn't put it in and the keeper saves it. Spain also topped the group like Belgium with 9 wins and 1 draw and are directly qualified for the World Cup. Now coming to Italy and Davide Zappacosta, they're obviously in the same group as Spain. Italy drew their first game 1-0 against Macedonia, with Zappacosta starting at right wing back. And they won the second game 1-0 against Albania, in which Zappacosta came on in the 61st minute. Obviously, Spain topped the group, like I said. Italy finished second, 5 points off Spain, and are in the playoff for the World Cup, which will take place in the last international break of the year in November. Now, coming to England, Gary Cahill was the only Chelsea player involved in the England squad. Danny Drinkwater, whether that's just because not being called up or not being 100% fit yet, I don't know. Probably not, just not called up, to be honest. The first game came against Slovenia. Check out Lewis's vlog of the England vs Slovenia game if you haven't seen it yet. Again, there will be a card up there. England England won that game against Slovenia by 1-0 with a 94th minute winner by Harry Kane, as Cahill played the whole game, which sealed England's direct qualification for the World Cup. The second game then was against Lithuania, which again ended in a 1-0 win for England, but saw Gary Cahill rested. England topped the group ahead of Slovakia, but actually Slovakia, the one team finishing second in that group that didn't make the playoffs, as they finished with the least amount of points out of all the teams finishing second. So there was 9 groups in Europe, 8 of them obviously going to the playoff and playing it out between each other who's going to the World Cup. And obviously that 9th team, because it's an uneven number, couldn't go, and that in this case was Slovakia. Coming to Brazil, David Luiz again was not called up. I don't really know why he's not being called up. Like I said, you know, for the last international watch, he was called up at the end of last season. Now he's not anymore. I don't know. But William was called up. Brazil have been qualified for the World Cup for ages now, basically. But they played against Bolivia in their first game this week, which ended in a very disappointing 0-0 draw after Brazil missed about 2,000 sitters. And I'm not even over-exaggerating. They missed so many massive chances. It was actually unbelievable. Bolivia goalkeeper Lampe, or however you pronounce his name, had the game of his life. Like, the amount of incredible saves he made was unbelievable. William didn't start the game but came on in the 66th minute. The second game then was against Chile. Like I said, Brazil being qualified already, but Chile desperately needed at least a point to secure qualification. But Chile didn't really stand much of a chance. Brazil won the game 3-0 and could well have scored a few more as well. William replaced Neymar in the 84th minute and assisted the third and last goal with a very nice over-the-top ball to Gabriel Jesus when they hit Chile on a counter. Brazil finished the group well ahead of everyone else with 41 points, 10 points ahead of Uruguay, who finished second. Argentina secured their qualification on the last day with Lionel Messi masterclass scoring a hat-trick in Ecuador. Colombia finished in 4th, the last spot that guarantees direct qualification, as Peru quite surprisingly finished 5th, putting them into the playoff, and Chile missing out on the World Cup completely, finishing only in 6th, but just 5 points of Uruguay, who finished second. So very tight. That is how, you know, a World Cup qualifier should be, because that's actually interesting. Like, I watched that game last night at 1:30 AM Austrian time. You know, I actually watched that. You know, I didn't really care for much of the European qualifying games. I watched the Austria games. I watched a few others when I had nothing else to do, but you know, that was actually exciting. That was interesting to watch. Loved it. Now coming to Germany, and obviously the only German player in the Chelsea squad is Antonio Rudiger. He was called up, and Germany, as they do, won both of their games. In the first game, they beat Northern Ireland 3-1 away from home, which saw Rudiger being an unused sub. The second game was a 5-1 win over Azerbaijan, in which Rudiger was subbed on for the injured Süle. And also actually saw Arsenal's Mustafi being subbed off with an injury in the first half. Antonio Rudiger actually scored his first ever goal for the German national team when he made it 3-1 with a header after a corner in the 64th minute. Germany actually won all of their 10 games in the qualifier, scoring 43 goals and only conceding 4. Very impressive by the world champions. Northern Ireland finished second in that group and are part of the November playoffs. Now coming to Nigeria, and obviously Victor Moses. Nigeria only played one game this week actually, but by beating Zambia 1-0, they already secured direct qualification to the World Cup, as they are now 6 points clear of Zambia, who sit in second with one game remaining. Victor Moses played the full game alongside Nigeria captain and former Chelsea player, former Blue, Genobi Mikel. And the last team that had a Chelsea player involved was Denmark with Andreas Christensen. Denmark beat Montenegro 1-0 away from home, as Christensen was an unused sub. The second game was against Romania, which ended in a 1-1 draw, with Romania scoring a very late equaliser after Niklas Bentner missed about 10 sitters himself throughout the game. Andreas Christensen got to play the whole 90 minutes actually, which is obviously great. The late equaliser didn't change much for Denmark, as they would have finished second behind Poland either way. Now one last thing I want to mention, simply because it's just so cool. Iceland have directly qualified for the World Cup as well, for the first time in their history, and they topped their group ahead of bloody Croatia. You know, with players like Rakitic, Modric, Kovacic, Subotic, Mandzukic. You know, they have incredible players, and Iceland topped the group ahead of them. Unbelievable. They just have a population of 300,000 people. It's incredible. Ever since I saw them beat England live, being in the stadium in Nice in the Euros 2016. Not because I wanted them to win, but because the passion they showed during the game, and also because of the passion their fans showed. I just have a soft spot for them. So, you know, congrats to them. And, you know, I'm quite happy about it. Also, congratulations to all of the Chelsea internationals that have secured qualification to the World Cup. And obviously also good luck to those that will feature in the playoff in November. But as much as I sounded fairly excited throughout this whole video, thank God this international break is over now. Only one more to go this year, but at least for a month or so, we can actually properly focus on Chelsea again, with our next game being away at Crystal Palace on Saturday afternoon. Like I said before, the preview for that will be out on Friday afternoon, after Antonio Conte's press conference has taken place. But yeah, that's really it for me. Leave me all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you're from somewhere else, let us know how your team got on. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Like I said before, check out my social media links, which you can see over here, Laos1507 on Instagram and Twitter, and also down in the description below as well. Also subscribe to 100% Chelsea if you haven't already. We massively do appreciate that. Thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, and I'll see you next time.